This is the Nerdy Things Podcast. This podcast contains strong language, adult themes, and poorly developed ideas. We apologize for nothing. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 60 of the Nerdy Things Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kevin. I am joined, as always, by Jules. Hey, Jules.
Heyo.
And by Tim. What's going on, Tim?
Hey, guys. What's happening?
It's great. I'm having a good week. I'm excited.
Everything's great.
Well, why don't we start off, because we have a ton of stuff we got to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about Ready Player One later on in the episode. We got the nerdy news coming up soon. But what nerdy things did we all consume this week? I'll go first. I reread the entire Ready Player One book in anticipation for the movie before I saw the movie. And we'll talk about it later, but it's an easy read if you want to just pick it up in a weekend. I finished it in a weekend. It's not too difficult. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did nerdy wise.
Yeah, I started rereading it Friday, got one page in, got roped into helping put out outdoor furniture at work, and then said, screw it, I'm not going back to it. So that was my foray into Ready Player One, the book, this time.
Yay. But okay, so like it's not the greatest book. We'll probably talk about it later. And I'm sure, Kevin, you can probably give me like 50 other books with similar premises that are like 20 times better.
I got you.
Why did they launch? I don't know. We'll talk about it later, but I don't get why they picked this one.
I am, for the audience here, I am so excited to talk about this movie because I feel like from the messages we've sent to each other that all three of us have very strong opinions on this movie, but I don't think we're all on the same page, but I don't know what anybody thinks.
No.
It's so exciting. I'm going to find out at the same time. Like, I have a very strong opinion in this movie, and I think that Jules and Kevin join the opposite opinion, and I don't know for sure. I have no idea, but they don't know what I think, and I don't know what they think. This is so exciting.
Peek behind the kimono. We don't talk about the movie before the actual Nerdy Things podcast episode, so we get the real conversations here in this platform.
But sometimes we have like little bitty conversations, or Kevin and I will have a side discussion, so I at least have a vibe of what these guys think. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I have a feeling. I have a gut instinct, but I know nothing.
You know nothing.
And my participation this week in terms of the Ready Player One book was I thought about reading it.
Oh, okay.
So we have the progression. Jules reread it. I started rereading it and then threw it in the bin. And Tim thought about rereading it. We just need to find someone who doesn't even know what the book is.
Tim thought about reading it.
Yeah.
No, I've never read it.
Kevin said reread, but it's okay.
Sorry.
No, I just want to make it clear.
No, that's fine.
I knew nothing about this other than the trailers going in. Nothing. Zero.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Cool.
So in other news, things that we didn't know anything about, we're here to announce two things. The first is that this podcast is moving to Fridays. We usually release on Thursday mornings, but I have recently changed my role at work, and so my schedule in flux, which is why we're recording this a day early. This is still going to come out on Thursday, but from now on, we're going to see Nerdy Things podcast release on Friday mornings. And so that'll be effective immediately. Additionally, Tim, we have another announcement for podcast. Would you like to take this one?
We're doing a spin-off podcast.
Whoa, they liked us so much that we're getting another one.
Yeah. Am I telling them what it is?
Yeah, let it out.
Oh, okay. All right, so a couple weeks down the road, we're going to get an initial launch with 3 of our episodes. We are doing a podcast exclusively dedicated to the show that is on NBC called The Good Place, starring Ted Danson, Kristen Bell, and others who we love. So Kevin and I have been a big fan of this show since it first aired. Kevin, as a matter of fact, visited the set of the show before it aired and wrote his name on the set, which is kind of cool. So we have like an interesting connection.
Nice.
Jules, however, not a watcher. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one episode of our show per one episode of their show. We're starting now to catch up for when their fall season 3 premieres. Kevin and I are going to try as hard as we can to not point out all of the little details that connect to the crazy things that happen in the end of the first season and into the second season, while Jules is going to be just like some of you and watching for the first time.
For sure.
So encourage anybody who's a fan of the show to go and check this out. We would encourage anybody who's never watched it. It's on Netflix and then on Hulu. I'm sure you have both of those because everybody does. Watch along with Jules and enjoy our commentary and banter and talk. And if you want to find it, it'll be on everywhere that we are, every podcatcher you can imagine. It's going to be called Everything is Fine, a Good Place podcast.
There you go, with a little exclamation. So we're not stopping this podcast. We are doing this one as well in conjunction with the new one. So this one that you're listening to right now is moving to Fridays. It's going to be released on Fridays and still a day early for, well, we'll see. It'll be released a little early for patrons. And we're starting this new podcast about The Good Place. And yeah, I'm watching it for the first time, and I really enjoy it. So I'm pretty sure you would enjoy it too. So look on our social media. We'll be posting about it, but I also made a group on Facebook so we can do discussions. So it's going to be, if you look up Everything is Fine with an exclamation point, A Good Place podcast, it'll be there. It'll be the group. Soon it'll be connected to Nerdy Things Podcast Facebook page, and you can just join. We'll be discussing the episodes and stuff, and we'll have your input there. And of course, the same places on Twitter and all that stuff. But yeah, those are huge. Those are huge things that are happening.
And I guess really what this is it's also the announcement of the first step in taking this to the Nerdy Things Pod network, where we have a large umbrella of podcasts for you all to enjoy, and we take over the world.
One step at a time.
Yeah, don't mind that part. It'll be quick and painless, hopefully, for most of y'all. Those are the big announcements. Those are huge. Oh my God, we're going to be posting about it. We're going to be talking about it a lot more going forward. And we'll let you know how to listen to the new podcast and all that stuff. But don't forget, you can reach us on most social media at Nerdy Things Pod. That's Nerdy Things Pod. And you can send us an email at nerdythingspod@gmail.com. You can visit our website, nerdythingspod.com, for the latest nerdy news updated daily and links to our merch for shirts and more. There's a new spring collection out. I don't know if you saw on social media, but there's new merch, new designs that you can get on anything: pillows, shirts, hoodies, pretty much anything you want. And even for your babies, if your babies listen to our podcast, you can go ahead and get our logo on your baby. Promote the shit out of it. Links to our YouTube to watch the podcast episodes, because we do these in video and you can watch our faces. And we do appreciate everybody that's been watching us, and that's really cool that y'all stay to watch us. You just got to subscribe now. We need to get to 100 subscribers, and we get youtube.com/nerdythingspod. That's all we want. That's all. That's it. Super simple.
Pretty much our goal in life.
We also have links to Patreon for extra content like bloopers and early access to our stuff. You do get the podcast episode early. If you are a patron, it's only $1 at least. And with the higher tiers, you get to suggest stuff. You get to be in the podcast with us. Bunch of other stuff. Patreon over on our website, nerdythingspod.com. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail at 978-78-NERDY. That's 978-786-3739. We also have, I don't know if I want to read this one. We also have an iTunes review.
Oh, no.
It's by Big... I'm not going to sing it in the way that they said to sing it. It's by Big Brother B. I need some background music, though. It's called Up All Night to Get Nerdy. It's Up All Night to Get Lucky. If someone can give me It's pretty much the lyrics, like the legend of the Phoenix. All pods should be nerdy. What keep the planet spinning? The force of shows beginning. We've come too far to give up who we are. So let's raise the bar in our cups to the stars. I'm up all night to the sun. I'm up all night to hear some. I'm up all night to get fun. I'm up all night to get nerdy.
I love it.
That's an 11.
Yeah, that was great.
Points for creativity.
There you go.
fantastic. Leave us an iTunes review over on iTunes and everything else. So that's it.
One of the things about that song is, you know how they have that robot little part? It's like, what is the actual words that they're saying then? We're up all night again.
Yeah.
We're up all night again. In my mind, it sounds like we are all Mexican. We are all Mexican. It's not a racist thing. It's just what I heard. I'm listening to it and I'm like, we are all Mexican. If you listen to it, Jules, now and you try and hear it, you'll hear it.
Now I will. Yeah.
I promise you.
Jeez.
Oh boy. All right. Well, it's time for
But we're not all Mexican, just Jules.
It's time for the nerdy news.
News. At 6 o'clock.
So I don't know about you guys, but somehow I successfully avoided April Fools this year. I didn't get sucked in by anything on the internet. There was no website that tricked me. I don't go to Google's homepage. I didn't look at the news. I didn't look at anything. So I'm very happy. I'm a very happy camper this year.
I think I only got fooled by like one obscure person on Facebook that was like, oh, we're having another kid. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's like not a big deal. And they're like, nah, just kidding. I'm like, oh well. It's like I didn't really care that much anyways. And I was just like, yeah. But no, I think I avoided. Everybody was like preoccupied with Easter.
Yeah.
And I was like totally okay with that. I was like,
I think that was the big thing. It was Easter. So
exactly,
the vast majority of the world was kind of just depending on what your belief is, you're still involved in a family affair or going somewhere or doing something. So there wasn't a whole lot of time for pranksters.
Shout out to Zombie Jesus. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Most of the time, the good ones make their way into YouTube and things like that anyway. Even then, the only one that really, really caught my attention was the Netflix acquiring Seth Rogan bit. Which
they bought
Seth Rogen. They bought Seth Rogen. Basically, it was a drunken deal between them, and he had it up on his Twitter message that he was acquired by them, and basically just wholly owned by Netflix. This was part of a deal with them for his upcoming special that they've got with him. So
it's on the front page of Netflix, and I wanted to click on it so many times because I wanted to know what exactly it was, because it said like Netflix has acquired the body, mind, and soul or something. It was very dramatic, the phrasing of the description of Seth Rogen, and it was just
entire being of Seth Rogen.
Yeah, apparently a Hollywood Reporter sent him an email, and they got a response from his new Netflix email address that said, "Hello, loyal fan / persistent detractor. I am currently away from my desk doing successful Hollywood things like hanging out at an exclusive club or getting into a fight with the Del Taco counter staff. If you have any questions that need immediate attention, please feel free to search your local police scanner for mentions of Del Taco. Best, Seth Rogen." And then a little star below it that says, "Seth Rogen is the creator of Hilarity for Charity and a wholly owned and licensed subsidiary of Netflix Incorporated. Any unlawful reproduction of Seth Rogen will result in terminating the real Seth to end the cycle of Rogan causality."
I love his brand of humor.
Oh, yeah.
He's so funny.
No, yeah. But the video with him finding out was pretty cool.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean that and the I think it was the Burger King chocolate Whopper were the only two that I saw, and I didn't mind either of them because they're both obviously jokes. It's the ones that really like go extra far and really work it in that really irritate me, and I know that that's the point, but come on, don't do that.
Yeah, that was
the one thing that I saw a lot of, and I skimmed over them all because I just wasn't in the mood. But there was so many products that were fake products, and it was very obvious. There was a shoe company that had one, but the Burger King. So was that supposed to be? Because I saw it a little bit. Is this supposed to be a chocolate bun
it was
around a regular burger or a chocolate burger?
Everything was chocolate. So it was a cake bun. It was a chocolate burger. It was white chocolate onion rings. It was raspberry sauce. It was chocolate sauce. It was all of that, but it was a flame broiled chocolate bun.
Take away the raspberry sauce, and I'm into all of that.
Like this I would eat this dessert.
Yeah, flame broiled.
It is a meal. What are you talking about? That's lunch, man.
Jeez. There was also one by Jimmy John's. They're like this sub is we're announcing our new Easter egg sub,
Oh,
and the sub was shaped like an egg, and I'm like, okay. And then it was like zoom into the tomato for more details, and I was like, okay, let me zoom in, and it's like April Fool's. I was like, okay, like I don't good try. I really don't care. I was like, it just looks like a smaller sandwich
yeah.
shaped kind of like an egg.
I mean,
Okay.
Tim's right, though. I was too busy watching my niece and nephew hunt for eggs that nobody hid because it was April Fool's. So that was fun.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. But I mean,
That's awful.
speaking of searching for things, you guys, they're doing a Netflix, I think it was Netflix or a Carmen Sandiego animated Netflix series. They are also doing a movie, live action.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Netflix, they acquired all these properties, and to some, probably like to most millennials, they don't really remember Carmen Sandiego. And I'm curious to see if this is going to be a thing, like a huge thing, or if people are going to flock to it because it's nostalgia. Was Carmen Sandiego a big part of y'all's growing up at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knew Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah. I mean, she was,
Back in the day, see, we used to watch PBS.
we didn't have a choice.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was one of the only things there. But PBS actually had good programming. It was educational, and we would watch it. And the theme song was sung by Rockapella, which was so freaking awesome. That was my favorite part of the whole show, when it was like, it was at the end of it, and you're like, all right, do it, Rockapella. And they do up, do up. Carmen Sandiego.
Okay, because like I only know her because I actually did like research about her, like, a while back with like Where's Waldo and all that stuff. But
Right.
like, I don't know if like the general kids now, not what is it, Generation Z after me, they don't know who it is. So like,
Believe it or not, Jules,
what?
the vast majority of the world is over the age of 30.
Whoa.
What?
Just throwing that out there.
Okay.
So there is a large like swath of people who really, really love this. So
Sure.
I think there's traction for sure.
Plus,
Okay.
there's going to be people who are growing up watching the reruns on Netflix of all of this stuff. I mean, look at all the other shows that have had such a huge revival recently because of their sort of accessibility on these streaming services. So I think that this is not only good that we're getting a new series, but I think we're going to see a lot of people looking at the old series again.
Very cool.
And I think it's also true because this is a perfect juncture in time, because the people who grew up watching Carmen Sandiego now have kids that are the age to watch Carmen Sandiego.
It's a Star Wars.
So it is a multi-generational
Sure.
kind of thing here. So
100%.
I was more of a
you're just the generation in between, Jules.
Okay.
You're sandwiched in between those two, unfortunately.
We're so sorry.
I was what is it called? An Inspector Gadget kind of guy. I loved
love
Inspector Gadget, the cartoon. The movie's not so much, but the cartoon, oh man.
I'm
that's
sorry. Was it
fantastic.
Matthew Broderick and then French Stewart that did Inspector Gadget?
I know it was Matthew Broderick. I've only saw the first one.
Pretty sure the
I'm not
second
gonna
one
Yeah,
was
I think
French
it was
Stewart.
French Stewart.
Yeah,
You know what? Live action things now, especially like that, they seem to be better. I think they understand that people don't necessarily want that camp when it wasn't warranted in the first place. And I'm really hoping that the Street Fighter live action TV series they're working on is going to do that same thing. Like I love the way that the Street Fighter world works, but I want to see some reasonable, real explanation for it, or just go full camp. Either
sure.
way,
It's
I
not
hate this half-ass stuff.
Yeah, it's not, the hardest thing to sort of make sense, to bridge some gaps with the story. It's like, okay, this sort of makes sense, I guess, and it's like, it's good enough for like a super action movie. So either go that way or just be like, I'm, what you put here, cartoon, just like whatever, it doesn't matter, just super action, make it really good action. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that too.
Seriously, there's really no two ways it should, or there are two ways it should go, but no three. Give me good, give me bad, give me nothing in between. So
yeah, that's the thing. You got to make that decision. You can't, when it comes to something like this, you can't walk that line. You've got to go all cartoony, like full on camp, or this would be like Street Fighter, but real Street Fighter. Like there's gangs and there's apocalypse and there's, real death.
right. Well, the problem with a lot of this stuff is they try to shoehorn in every aspect of the original, or every aspect of the original that has spanned 30 years of video games or whatever it is. And you don't have to. Give us good characters. Show us the progression. You have potentially extra seasons where you can introduce other people into this. So, give me something I like. Like give me Channing Tatum as Gambit and cross it over with Street Fighter. I would watch the shit out of that.
That Gambit would probably fit somehow into there.
Right.
I mean, he's okay. So Gambit finally gets production date. Yay! It's going to be shot in New Orleans. I've seen a lot more. Now that you got me on the alliteration thing, I wasn't going to do it. I've seen a lot of movies that have been choosing to shoot other than like the usual LA, New York. Now they're some people have been shooting in New Orleans, sort of. They said that Logan shot in the same place as this Gambit movie. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. And I don't know, Gambit, are we still on board with this?
I kind of am.
I just love the character. I just want the character to be cool. He was like one of my favorites.
I really hope that they Deadpool this. I really hope that they're just like, listen, we're going to ignore everything else, and we're just going to give you a good Gambit story. I would love that.
Is Channing Tatum is still in it?
Yeah,
that's all I want.
He is.
Then it's going to be good.
In the article I'm reading, it says he is still very much attached to play Gambit. So I think I think he's on board. I think he has this thing in a headlock, and he's just going to noogie it to death until he's made this movie.
I'm all in. I've gone full circle on Channing Tatum. I went from hating Channing Tatum to 21 Jump Streeting and loving Channing Tatum. Now I'm like all in. Let's do it. Whatever you're in, man, I'm good.
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
Wow.
Like he.
Okay.
What do you got, Jules?
You don't like Channing Tatum?
No, I mean that's cool. I don't know. I think Gambit could have been a different person. I don't know if Channing Tatum's the right person, but we'll see.
Well, who would you want there?
Channing Tatum's the right person.
I mean, it's a Marvel property. You want to slot in John Boyega?
Yeah. Let's get John Boyega as Gambit.
There you go. Perfect.
I'm down.
I could see that. Although I think he's in talks for something else.
Oh, but they didn't say what he's in talks about.
They wouldn't.
So he's in talks with Marvel, but we don't know yet, but it's probably Blade.
It's definitely Blade. I mean, it's not Blade. It's not. He has said he would not do that to Wesley Snipes.
He said it wasn't Blade.
It's Blade. I'm sorry.
He said it's Blade. It would be like spitting in the face of Wesley Snipes.
Right, but
that's
Wesley Snipes is into that. Like, that's one of his jams. He loves that.
That's his key.
You know what? That's probably true, but I don't think that's what he was talking about.
It's that and not paying taxes. Those are the only two ways that Wesley Snipes can be happy.
Oh, jeez.
Now imagine if he were actively not paying taxes and being spat in the face at the same time.
That's what I'm saying.
He might explode from excitement.
We're working towards that. But no, really, what else could John Boyega be playing in the Marvel universe? I mean, really anything, but I can't think of anything that was cooler than Blade.
Spider-Man.
No, he's too old. He's too old to be playing Spider-Man. I'm sorry.
Alternate universe Spider-Man.
Still too old.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody else. Yeah.
So
unless they reboot some obscure characters like Guardians of the Galaxy.
I mean, they've done amazing jobs with that recently. So I'd be cool with that. I just think it'd be cooler if he did Blade. I think it's time we brought Blade back.
I think he should be a villain.
Okay.
John, maybe.
Once Thanos is gone, they're going to need a new villain, right?
Right?
So why not take Boyega and put him in the role that he's not known for? That would be a fun little thing to do.
Thanos is not going to be gone for a while, I don't think.
Yeah, I think we're too early to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least after the second in what is he? Infinity War 2, second one.
Yeah,
does he though?
No.
Well, we still don't have a name for that one.
No,
that's how we get into. Yeah, it's called the Death of Thanos.
The
that's
name
why
is
they
a
haven't.
Spoiler.
They're gonna call it the Death of Thanos, and it's like, oh, okay, we don't need to go see this one. We already know what's happening. That's like real
Avengers, Captain's demise.
Well, yes, the reign of Thanos will come to an end in Death of Thanos, an Avengers Infinity War movie. That's the official title.
Oh God.
Oh.
Something else that's coming up pretty soon that I'm really excited about is Westworld. I was a super huge Westworld season 1 fan. I watched it every week, and I was just like super into like all the theories. I even listened to like theory podcasts, and we get some more we got another trailer for it for season 2 that's coming out, and it's just super on par with their aesthetic. It has like a popular song being played on the piano. It has a ton of just shots of things that you don't know what's going on. Kind of a story with I don't know. It's just so good. I'm excited. I'm peak excitement for this.
Jules cannot be any more excited, even if he was not paying taxes and someone was spitting in his face. This is the most anticipated TV show of his life.
Yeah, of my last
Coming
3
soon
years.
to the Nerdy Things Pod Network, Westworld Theories, hosted by James the Human.
Oh God,
Maybe. If y'all want to talk Westworld, I totally would love. I'm talking to the fans out there listening right now. If y'all want to talk Westworld theories every week, let's do it, because I'm down. I love theorizing about that show. I am so here for that. But yeah, I think it's just a fantastic show. If you don't have it, if you don't have HBO already, then you should probably wait till season 2 is all out, and then you can binge season 1 and 2. But you can also see Game of Thrones and all that stuff. But Westworld's up there. If you like, if you're on par with like Game of Thrones style, it's not the same style, but budgeting wise and how great and immense the world is, I think Westworld's something that you could probably get into. And if you like the whole artificial intelligence sort of thing that's played off in Blade Runner, it's very similar.
It's great sci-fi. It's a great philosophical movie. It's a really like mind fuck. So I'm in. I cannot wait. It's almost as big a world as the Sharknado series of movies.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Almost.
God damn it. Sharknado, man.
Sharknado 6 comes out. It's going to be a time travel adventure, and it's going to end the franchise. Or restart it? I don't know.
They're going to restart the franchise.
It's time travel,
universe.
right? That'd be so
It's going to be what's that Flashpoint? They're going to
Flashpoint it.
Shark Point.
They're going to Flashpoint it, exactly.
Shark Point.
Is the douchey blonde kid from 90210 still in it?
Oh, I believe
they are all still in it. They are all still ready.
Ian Ziering.
They haven't. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of. I kept on saying Billy Zane. No. I knew that wasn't it. Yeah, Tara Reid hasn't been killed off yet. Really?
Tara
like,
Reid's
life.
Yeah.
In life, she hasn't been killed off.
Honest to God, have you seen these movies? Have you seen any of these movies?
No.
I highly recommend watching the Riff Tracks versions of these movies. If you don't, you know what Riff Tracks is. They're the ones that do the commentary over the movie. You can buy a Riff Tracks and play it while watching the movie. Jenny and I went and saw Sharknado in theaters with the guys from Riff Tracks. These are the guys from MST3K doing their commentary over the movie. It is amazing. The movie is not good, but this makes it amazing. And we actually saw 1 and 2 that way. I don't think I've seen any since then, but oh my God.
I think I've seen 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
it just gets ridiculous, man.
You don't have to watch them in order. It's fine.
No, they keep upping it just gets ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous B, C, D movie. And
ridiculouser and ridiculouser.
Well, yeah,
it keeps getting more ridiculouser. And I don't know. Just watch one. If just find one. And are they on? I think they're on Netflix. You can just watch one and you'll be good.
Probably.
Just be like, oh, yeah, I get the idea.
You understand the premise.
You get the idea.
You get the idea just from the title.
Yeah, kind of.
But I mean,
there's a tornado with sharks in it.
Anything that has time travel in it, it gets ridiculous pretty quickly.
Are we gonna have to talk about it in our eventual relapse into time travel episode?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
we gotta bring that back. Yeah,
that and Bill and Ted 3. We're gonna have to talk about.
Yes,
I know.
What?
Now let's talk about something. Now let's get excited.
Yeah, I am so happy. Alex Winter has been on about this forever. Keanu Reeves has been on about this forever.
My question: we're excited for it. We've been wanting this. Is this too late?
No.
Do you think?
Absolutely
it's a movie about time travel. How could it ever be too late?
Right.
I mean, always exactly the right time.
I mean, is the optimal time past when we needed a sequel? No.
No.
Okay.
There was never a right or wrong time for this. It was just always a time for it. It's Keanu Reeves. I mean, come on. There's never a wrong time for something like this. It's perfect.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's going to be called, what is it? Face the Music? Bill and Ted Face the Music, I think it's going to be called.
is it? That sounds like a VH1 show.
It does.
So I'm afraid for this because I love Bill and Ted. I think that Bill and Ted, and I've said this on the podcast before, Bill and Ted is one of the best representations of time travel in pop culture. It is internally consistent. I mean, there's a lot of silly shit in it, but it is amazing for what they do and how they represent it. And I am afraid from what I've read about this that they are going to fuck that up in this movie. Because they've said in this that they are going to be using footage from the original movie in this. And I'm just so afraid that they're going to then interact with their younger selves in a way that we have not yet seen and completely screw up how their time travel works. I know I'm alone in this. I know nobody wants to hear me rant about this, but this is the type of stuff that just frustrates me.
Sure. Yeah, it's for you. And then there's like a small portion of people where it's just like, if something is really off, something kind of like in Ready Player One, but about time travel, if something's really off, it like bothers you the whole time. And it's just like, oh, I can't get into it anymore. But they did say they were going to do that. And they also said that it was going to be in the future of these characters and that it's going to be like, well, they haven't really saved the world yet. They haven't really done the thing. They haven't made the music and they're kind of just going on with their lives and they have to deal with that kind of thing where it's like they haven't done their thing yet. Why isn't it happening? Why are we not the people? So they're going to Bill and Ted Face the Music. And it's like, we're older. What's going on with our life? This was supposed to happen, whatever. They're going to deal with that stuff and eventually, hopefully time travel and do some crazy stuff. So we'll see. I'm excited.
Did you guys know that one of the writers for that also wrote the Oscar award-winning Super Mario movie?
Really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Right? I knew that would get you.
Give me my tickets now. 3 tickets for the Nerdy Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, especially when it's a silly movie, I'm not as particular about time travel specifics as Kevin is. As long as I have fun with it. I really don't care. I mean, Back to the Future, I'm sure I rewatched the whole series recently, and I'm pretty sure that movie is not a great time travel story.
Oh, no, it's
but
the
I love
worst.
it.
But it's a great
but
story.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Courtney said, be excellent to each other and party on, dude. And that's from Abraham Lincoln.
Awesome.
You know what would be the best crossover? Just thought about this. Bill and Ted and frickin' Hot Tub Time Machine.
Oh my God. Yes.
How
That would be
great a
cool.
crossover would that be?
Yes.
That's like a match made in heaven right there. Just players involved, the style of storytelling, the going back into like actual history. That would be amazing.
That is amazing. Let's bring in Channing Tatum's Men in Black at the same time, and I'm in.
I never got that whole thing.
No?
Really.
Never understood that.
I mean, if Channing Tatum's in it, I'm, whatever. I'm down. But I never that crossover. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways.
Speaking of more time travel, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, out of surgery, awake after having something in his heart replaced. So that's cool. He says he's back in a tweet.
He literally said, yeah, he's like, I'm back.
Yep.
And he was only supposed to get a small scar and he got like a bigger scar than he thought. And it was just like, yeah, I'm awake and I'm living. So that's okay.
I mean, the guy's
so that's
70.
cool.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Yeah. I mean, this was sort of emergency procedure type of thing. He was scheduled to have it replaced, but had to go through this anyway. And then there was complications and blah, blah, blah. But you can't kill him. He's just going to keep crawling after you. Even if you burn off his flesh, his little exoskeleton there will keep coming at you.
Jesus.
No.
Yeah.
We have no more excuses. You're so whiny. No more breaks for the bathroom. There is no bathroom. Watched Kindergarten Cop yesterday. I don't know if you knew that.
You watched it yesterday? What the hell?
Yeah.
It's not a tumor.
It was. It's not Duma. I love it when he's yelling at the little kids and telling them they can't go to the bathroom. Y'all softies. There's no bathroom breaks for you. From now on, there is no bathroom.
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, he's amazing as a father, as a pregnant father, as a twin to Danny DeVito, as a teacher, as a robot from the future. There's no stopping him.
As a triplet,
Right?
No,
No.
doing the triplet.
Yeah,
No,
they still have to get Eddie Murphy on board.
okay.
I'll tell you, the crazy thing about Kindergarten Cop was how often they played up the fact that he was a male kindergarten teacher and how weird that was.
Right.
Like that was a repeated theme. But
Sign of the times.
It
Yeah.
is.
he's a male kindergarten teacher. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird? He's a male kindergarten teacher. Isn't that peculiar? Like over and over and over again. It was very cringy in today's life and world.
No, it really
Yeah, for
is.
sure.
I mean, it things like that, they change and you don't know it. And then you're looking back on that cultural stuff and it's like, wow, you got to update this. There's an upcoming movie for ROM Space Knight, which is started off as a toy, much like He-Man. Started off as a toy, went to a comic. Now they're doing a movie about it. This is being penned by the same writer of Ready Player One. So I'm in. We'll talk about it.
You don't sound like you're that.
I'm like, I'm waiting. I'm sitting here going,
Yeah, like we'll see.
So ROM,
What's a ROM Space Knight?
ROM is a
What is-
weird comic.
well, it's read-only material at Space Night.
All
All right, that's the end of the show.
right, thanks everyone. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
What is this guy? What is this guy? What does he do?
ROM, I mean, it is short for read-only memory. He's basically this cyborg who defends the Earth. He's from the utopian society on the planet Galador, and it's just like he's had so many adventures because he's been owned by so many different comic book companies
So many adventures.
and sort of
he looks like
passed
a
around.
Shit. Jesus.
He's one of those characters that like no one really knows what to do with, and so he just shows up in almost everything. And like people get so excited because they know him, but nobody really knows. Like he doesn't have this huge backlog of comic books. He's not Captain America or Spider-Man or anything. He's just this weird robot-looking dude that needs an update to his look.
Yeah, it does. The toy is just a robot. He has like a little phaser gun that looks weird, and it's not even like a real. I mean, it's like a rectangle gun, and his eyes light up,
and his nipples light up in the original.
Oh,
toy,
his nipples!
His nipples
there you
light
go.
up. I don't understand.
I see the nipples now.
Now I'm excited for this.
There are two people. It's two people controlling this robot. The nipple guy and the actual head guy.
Yeah, the nipple guy, he's the most important job, because he's got to make sure he presses both lights at the same time. Otherwise, it looks weird.
No, those are his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in, I guess. But
ROM Space Knight coming at you soon. ROM Space Knight official merchandise made by Nerdy Things Pod.
Nope.
Well, I didn't know I was in for Ready Player One, but now
here it is.
All right, so it's time for the main topic. That's right. This week's main topic is Ready Player One, the movie. We saw it, came out this week. I'm excited to talk about it. I think this is going to be a great conversation. We're going to do this usual non-spoilers at first. We're going to get into spoilers at the end. We'll do non-spoilers pretty quick. For anybody that wants to, shut off now and come back to us, please do. We appreciate that. Jules, what do you got? What are your thoughts on this?
So non-spoiler thoughts. First off, we're gonna. I do want to go ahead and say that you should probably see this movie. Just go ahead and start off and say this is an adequate movie to go watch. This was better than Tomb Raider. I'd say watch this one over Tomb Raider. It's not a big deal, but like I don't know. It looked beautiful. What can I say about it? It looked beautiful. If you're a fan of the book, you might have some problems. You might have a lot of problems with the movie because they did change it. But then again, on the other side, if you're a fan of the book, this is almost an entirely new experience.
Right, but they had
if
to
you want to
change
look
it.
at it.
They really did because
for sure
got into way too much nitty-gritty detail. The book almost at times read like Lord of the Rings, where it was like listing all the people that were in each scene. And this could just sort of show you them. This had to condense the whole trial of everything. So without giving anything away, it's just sort of all of it. They have to find, it's Willy Wonka for nerds. They have to find the clues, overcome the trials, and so they condensed a lot of it and tried to get that story into a much smaller footprint because it's already more than 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it was a little bit over 2 hours. It didn't really feel like that, so that was good on their part because I really did, for the most part, enjoy it. But for me, I liked the book better, and that was just me. And coming off of just reading it, I was like, yes, I'm ready for this to be on screen. And I was like, wow, this is not what I wanted. And wow, they changed a lot of stuff. But that's my personal opinion. We'll get into it later. But I do say, go see it. And if you're a fan of cinematography, if you're a fan of Spielberg, if you're a fan of any like nerdiness at all, you're gonna see a character in there, and it's gonna be some fun watching it. Watching stuff happen. They already spoiled that there's like battles and stuff. You're gonna see some battle stuff and really good CGI. This is what I hope Avatar is times 10.
Yeah, the CGI in this
like
was
if they can do this.
Almost without flaw. There were very few times where there was anything funky about it. Like nothing looked out of place, except for one scene near the end where there's two guys walking away from the camera. And if you look at their outline, you could tell that, at least in my showing of it, they up-converted it to 3D because the background right around them didn't move while the whole thing was moving. It was really freaking me out. But that is it. That is the only time I had a complaint with anything visual in this movie.
I think I know which part, because that was one part as well where I was like, that looks a little weird.
Yeah.
I think I know which part you're talking about. Cool. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that's one of the best displays of like CGI that is new right now, and it looks great. And probably in like 20 years, it's not going to look good, but in the next coming years, I think this is like peak CGI to the world, to what the world is supposed to be. Yeah. And I really enjoyed it.
Tim?
I would love to hear what Tim thinks about it in non-spoiler talk, or unless you're gonna wait.
I freaking love this movie. Oh my god, I had such a good time seeing this movie. It was absolutely fantastic. The visuals were stellar. I thought the story was so incredible. I am going to be crap today in this discussion because when I see a movie that I like this much and I only see it one time, I don't remember any of the details. And I can't tell you anything bad about it because I was just waiting to see what happened next. Yeah. I was involved in the story. I liked the characters. I had to go to the bathroom for about 45 minutes and I wouldn't get up. That's how much I liked it. It was incredible. This was peak, in my mind, this is peak Steven Spielberg, where like I don't really care. Again, I don't like whether it was a good movie or not a good movie or whether there was plot holes. I really don't care because I was just so enthralled. And like you said, visually the CG was amazing, but he is a master of lighting. There are certain scenes in this movie where you're just looking at the lighting and just seeing, it's just so dramatic. So just the visuals and the way it presents emotions just draws you right into it. But the story for me was good enough. I loved it. I just really thought the whole concept was great, and I was drawn into every step of the way. I absolute instant classic in my mind. Best movie of the year 3 months in.
Very nice.
Wow. Interesting. That's really cool. Yeah, definitely hitting on what you were saying. The lighting, it looked beautiful there. Even like the lighting off of most of the CGI and the faces and the way the faces were modeled, it looked fantastic. And the way the light would play with their characters, it was beautiful. It was just amazing. They brought life into this world that wasn't real life, and it was super vibrant and so many colors and all this stuff. It was just a beautiful looking movie. And it was,
well, I think that's one of the things that made the CG so convincing and so, as you put it, alive, is you can tell that Spielberg directed the CG. You know what I mean? Like he the same way he would shoot and frame a movie, he choreographed the lighting. It mirrored the real life and the fake world mirrored each other in their style. So that's what made it so believable. It wasn't like you were in a separate realm from when they showed the real life stuff. It was very consistent. It just felt consistent, and that
Sure.
helps you really just get engrossed in that
You're
whole
exactly
thing. It was
right.
just beautiful.
This movie
Absolutely
wasn't
awesome.
held back at all by the CGI. This isn't a movie where
No.
when you transitioned from one to the other, you were like, oh, now I've got to look at this. It was beautiful in both of them. I mean, the real world, beautiful in that sort of like well laid out, even though it's a horrible dystopia, but just stunning to look at, real world, made a lot of sense type of thing. So I'm in.
Sure. What was the one thing I wanted to talk about? Oh, if you're, you definitely got to go in there ready to, I don't know, ready to understand a lot of things.
Yeah.
For me, we'll get into it later, but there's a lot of concepts and a lot of things you may need to know about gaming or ways things interact with each other. So if you're thinking about going to see it, be open to different ideas of how things interact.
Just let it
and
wash
different
over you. It's fine.
Yeah, just let it
You'll be fine.
just let it happen. There's going to be kind of a lot of information to take, but if you take it and you run with it, it's a fun film.
I feel like everything was explained fairly adequately, though. I don't think that, like, if you're not a gamer or anything, that you'll be lost. I feel like they did a pretty good job of ingratiating you into the whole.
I don't think so. I don't think it did. I think it was too much information all at once. So for me, I think about it. I don't give credit to a lot of people's brains because I interact with a lot of people on the daily basis, and it's like they're not, a lot of times we're not the smartest people when we're not really thinking and we don't see the obvious stuff. And when you're teaching, and I've taught a lot of like children and a lot of younger adults, some concepts don't, it needs a little bit more explaining. Some concepts need a little bit more explaining. And I always try and go into that teacher mode when I'm trying to understand this, a film or something like that. And for this film, I don't think if you didn't know anything about gaming, you would understand this.
No, but
this would be a lot of information.
I don't think this was a movie for people who aren't gamers. And I think that more people are gamers than you're giving credit for. Like, I think the people that are going to see this all have some hand in gaming. To Tim's point, I mean, we're gamers. People older than Tim and I are gamers. Everybody younger than us is a gamer. Everyone. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if I wanted to take my mom or my grandma or something like that to go see an action movie because they like action movies. Oh, this is a Ready Player One's an action movie. They're gonna instantly, nah, I don't like it.
I don't think there was any. Well, they may not like it because it may not be their style, but I don't think there was any concept in there that was too difficult for someone to grasp over their head. I mean, they go in the game, they collect coins when they kill people. People achieve things over the course of time that they lose and they die. I mean, I don't think any of this was rocket science.
It wasn't.
They illustrated a lot of it pretty well.
It wasn't too difficult. It just in the span of them explaining it, they give you a ton of information all at once. I think a little too much information all at once.
I mean, I agree. So let's end non-spoilers. Let's get into spoilers so we can get into some of this. So anybody that's still listening, I don't know why, stop. All right. Spoilers, here we go. So yes, you're right. There was a ton of information. There was a shitload that went on in this movie visually. But like I was saying, a lot of that in the book is just sort of an info dump. In this, you can just sort of glaze over a lot of what's happening in the major action scenes because there's not a lot that really moves the story forward. A lot of it is just, hey, look, that's Batgirl. Hey, look, that's the Iron Giant type of thing. And it's fine. Like, you don't have to know that. The big battle scene near the end, I'm sitting there half the time going, what are these giant gun walking things from? Before I realized they weren't from something. They were the bad guys in the movie. Yeah, it took me literal minutes of head scratching trying to figure out, is this something from RoboCop? No. Is this from Terminator? No. I couldn't get it.
But I mean, I want to start at the beginning of the movie and go forward. Let's do it like chronologically. But I don't know. For me, I just felt like that a lot of people aren't going to get it, and then they're going to write it off. I don't want that to
What is
happen.
it that
That's
they're
why.
not going to get, Jules? I'm just that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like I'm trying to figure out which concept you think is over the heads of the way they explained it. I'm not seeing that.
Just the way of the world, and they didn't do a whole lot of. Okay, I'm comparing it to the book because in the
Right,
book they
and
explain so many
that's my
things.
point. For someone who hasn't seen or hasn't read the book, there's nothing in this movie that isn't already explained, because this movie is literally just an analog for how we are now. The difference is, instead of looking down at your phone, you're looking at your phone like this. That's it. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you live in this alternate world.
It's called Twitter
through these
/
glasses.
Facebook.
They show you this. I think they did a lot of. There was a lot of kind of monologue or a lot of storytelling, but a lot of it was showing at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're in this world. Okay, so the world is poor in real life. You live in Columbus, Ohio, where there's a bazillion people for some reason. Oh, wait, the reason is that everybody can go anywhere they want because we live in this virtual reality, and everybody does it. And they show grandmas, kids,
Yep.
cousins, uncles, dogs, whatever, everybody in this world. And you can be whoever you want. And they show everybody being who they want. And you collect things, and they show people collecting things, and they get into specific items as they go. And if you get killed, you zero out and you lose it all. And then other people collect it. They showed that. Like all the concepts, I think, are pretty straightforward. And they show that was the biggest thing. It would have been, I think, difficult to understand if they had just through exposition explained all of these things.
Mhm.
But while they were telling you, they were showing you examples.
Okay,
So for
I think
somebody
it
who's
was
not
just
a gamer, they see it and they get it. It's visceral. It's tangible.
sure. I think it was just like that opening crawl of the explaining of the entire race thing with Wade. He was talking about like, oh, this is the scoreboard, this is like the Halliday's dead, and all this stuff about this person that created the Oasis. I think the concept of what was going on and the main quest was a little too fast. I think that's what I'm
But if
talking
you
about.
didn't understand it at that point, by the time he gets the egg and gets the clue and
Sure.
goes on to the next step, then you understand it. Then you go to the Hall of Memories and you
Yep.
see how nobody's really looking anymore, and that everybody starts to looking. So if you didn't get it in the beginning, as the story goes on, you pick up on it. And I think that was the biggest thing is they, again, they could have just in the beginning tried to dump all of it on you. That would have been the wrong move. What they do is reveal the attributes of the world as the story goes on, so you can take it in pieces and digest it easier.
Okay, so I think it was just better digestible for me as the book, but we already said that the movie is its own thing and it's perfectly consumable as just the movie. No, I know, but I'm saying as for comparison, it was easier for me to be like, here's this part, here's this one thing that you can do in this world. And the book was kind of like, okay, here's this thing. Oh, here's this other thing. But when in the movie, they kind of just went into artifacts and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is a lot. For me, it was a lot.
It was. And I think the artifacts were a little inconsistent in this movie because I think the price of them wasn't high based on the acquisition of coins. Like, you want the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch, that's going to be up there. But this kid gets 100,000 coins and he buys himself a real world VR suit and then a whole bunch of in-game artifacts like the Zemeckis Cube and the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch and
they had multiple of them.
Yeah. Why was
they had a ton of them there?
So the bad guys, the IOI guys that are trying to find this egg, that's their job. Why don't they all have this stuff? I mean, I get it if you don't want it, spend money before the first race, before everybody gets past that. But once you start making progress on the game, twink your guys out, give them the best armor you can buy, give them the best weapons you can find, and just have them go kill everybody else. Why?
Well, the one thing that they don't establish is how much money is a lot of money. So I would say that the fact that he can go buy all of these things with 100,000, like you're saying, oh, it's only 100,000 coins. The 100,000 was the prize for getting the first key. So I think that says that is a lot of coins in that world. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, he won the key and he only got 100,000. No, he won the key, he got 100,000. So that's why he had to buy all this stuff, because that's a lot of coins in that world. That's like $1 million. I mean, I don't know what the real world equivalency is.
William,
the reward for what he did to get the reward shows you how high a scale it is.
Sure, William, I need a conversion rate of coin to actual dollars in the real world, because I'm very curious at that. And I mean, but IOI still is supposed to be like, the company, the people that control a ton of the Oasis, about all the sponsors and all the stuff. They do a lot, and they have this huge they wouldn't have enough money for one holy hand grenade. Like,
right, they had to hire.
They probably would, but there's other things that they probably they get. But the thing is, those players zero out more often too.
Sure, but you know what?
Because they're just going at it with reckless abandon.
They would definitely have a SWAT team, not just IROC, who was my favorite character in this entire movie, played by what's his face there, Deadpool's friend.
TJ Miller.
TJ Miller.
Yeah, TJ Miller.
Yeah, oh my God, he was spectacular in this. But to the thought that he had 10 years in game of loot just kind of in him was the best thing I've ever seen in this entire world. But no, I honestly, like, you would have a SWAT team. You would have gamers who you were paying for this. You would have, former Twitch streamers or whatever who were on your payroll.
They mentioned Twitch.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's my point. Is like, you would have professional gamers. These IOI guys just seemed like corporate schlubs who just got roped into this. Like, they were paying off their debt, and just this was the only way to do it. So they didn't give a shit. They did.
Well, a lot of the brains were in the strategy room. That was the thing.
Well, but you're going to have people who are not smart enough to be doing the research, who are good enough at the game. You're going to have people who've been doing this forever, who, even if they don't get supplied by IOI, they work for IOI and have acquired loot through that.
Yeah, no, and I get what you're saying. I agree with it. I just think that the directive of those players is different. So Parzival and what's I can't remember the girl's name. Artemis. Artemis more has to talk Parzival into risking his life, his game life, and zeroing out in order to take the big leap, right? His game style is I'm really good at this, and I'm going to go as far as I can comfortably go before I think I have a huge risk of zeroing out, because I can't afford to lose these things.
Right.
Whereas the IOI player's directive is forward, 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 forward. Your life doesn't matter. When you zero out, somebody else will jump in. You already have the best real life suits and all that kind of stuff. Just keep going forward, 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 forward. So my point is, yeah, one of them could have gone ahead and bought that grenade, but 30 minutes later, he could have zeroed out because he took an unnecessary risk, because that's the directive of their game strategy. Like, if you just look at the way that those players played the game, to me, it looked like their directive was, we don't care if you die. We don't care if you zero out. Go forward, 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 forward. Risk your life if necessary. It's worth the risk. Who cares? We'll bring someone else in the pod next. And you go back on the bench. Like, that's just the directive of their strategy. So I don't think accumulating stuff and holding on to it plays into their game style, unless you're the head guy who did have a lot of stuff, was accumulating things, and wouldn't put himself in the way because all of the minions were out there dying every 2 seconds.
And he still zeroed out and came back the same for some reason.
Sorrento,
yeah.
He did?
Probably had a few copies.
Yeah, at the end, when they zeroed him, they deleted everyone on the world or something like that.
The Cataclysm deleted everybody on the world,
and he was
on that plane. They didn't explain, but in the book, it deletes a sector, because there's sectors of groups of planets of so many things. That my problem. Another problem. I'm gonna take like the Tim stance.
Wait, when they deleted everybody in the world, wasn't he just at the Atari?
No, he was there.
Didn't he just go to the Atari?
Pretty sure he was.
No, and then he used the 1-up coin, and he kept playing.
Yeah. He had
so
the free life.
So what do you?
No, he said. Oh.
He didn't come back.
Okay.
Nobody came back.
Pretty sure Sorrento came back, but okay. Moving on.
No, Sorrento then.
I think he died earlier than that. I'm thinking he died before the world was completely erased, or I don't know. There was definitely he came back. I'm gonna have to rewatch this.
Well, he might have come back, but the only time I can think of that he might have died was when he was Mecha Godzilla. And then we don't know what he would or wouldn't have lost, because the only thing that he was really holding on to value that we knew of was that
The orb.
Cataclysm.
Azeroth
No, I know.
thing, whatever that ball was.
Part of my problem
Okay.
with this is in the book they specifically said that character died and you'd come back different. But in this, they never said that in the movie. So
Okay. It just said that you lost your stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and that you can reboot your character. Yeah, in the movie they said, or they didn't say, or they didn't specify what happened when you died. It's just that you lost all your stuff.
Come back in, yeah.
And maybe all your experience or whatever. But oh shit, I had something. So yeah. So I think I'm probably gonna have the lowest score. I already got my score for the movie. I did it yesterday after the movie.
Yeah.
But honestly, my problem is they didn't. I wanted it to be bigger. The Oasis is this huge thing, this huge. It said you can do anything. You can go to different worlds. I don't know if it gave a good sense of that. I'm not going to say it didn't. It did show in the opening scene when they're kind of sort of explaining everything. It did show that you can do this in this world, this on this world. But in the book, it explains it so much better and explains that this is so much bigger than you can possibly imagine, that you have to actually travel on your ship for an hour or hours on end to get to a specific point in this video game. And that's what I wanted, even though the argument against that, it's going to be boring on screen.
Right.
It's totally okay in text. It's going to be boring on screen, and that's totally okay. But for me, it didn't show how immense this is. The passing of time for me was not good enough. It just said, 5 years passed since Halliday's death. 5 years. Okay, that's it. What? That's a long time for nobody to think to go backwards on the on the race. Like that's
why would anybody do that? Why would you ever go backwards to start a race?
If you're trying it every day for 5 years?
I mean, this is the whole point of looking for bugs in games. Like this is stress testing it all. That like this would have. Jules is not wrong. This would have happened, but to that point,
Gunters spend their entire life doing
to
this.
that
After 5 years,
I don't know that they'd been racing for 5 years. The game had been open for 5 years, but it wasn't until someone found the first clue that the portal to the race opened. So how long?
True. They didn't say how long that happened.
So, I mean, even so, someone would have fallen asleep on their keyboard or whatever and gone backwards by accident. Some cat would have walked into the VR helmet and it would have happened.
Yeah, that's I don't know. Just
Maybe you had to go backwards at 88 miles per hour.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm upset that the DeLorean never took off. The DeLorean should have flown. And in the book they explained why it had Kit's little scanner at the front. In the movie it was just there. I don't think we needed that. I think I would have been happier if it just said the DMC logo on the front of the DeLorean.
Yeah, I actually was waiting when they kept getting trapped by King Kong. I was waiting for the wheels to go
right.
We're going. We don't need roads and just fly right over.
Oh, that would be fly because we saw the Firefly at the end when they're fighting when the Gundam shows up. That's the other thing. Why is being able to turn into any robot for 30 seconds an artifact level weapon when H made the Iron Giant? If you can make this type of thing, then you don't need the artifact. Like just save your money or
because he's really good at it, and it took him a really long time. Whereas with this, it's instantaneous gratification.
Well, to get the actual thing, you would have to go through a huge quest,
right,
or a huge raid to get the actual artifact. So I would, unless you have a lot of money.
Skill thing. Everybody's got different skills. They talk about how great, like H is sought out in the world to do this kind of stuff for people, whereas the other kid, that's not his skill set.
I loved her. H was, I think, my favorite character in this entire movie.
Yeah,
I loved that she was when we didn't know that it was a woman, and the main character is going to go meet Artemis, and H is like, could be a 400-pound dude in his mom's basement, and it's like, okay, that's you, H. I love it.
That's automatically what I thought. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. The characters, H was pretty interesting, and the way that they changed the keys and the different quests and stuff like that. I don't know. It was really interesting. I want to talk about the main character, Wade Watts.
Yeah.
I
Talk to me, Goose.
Sounds like
definitely,
a superhero.
I had a, oh yeah, that was the point of his dad naming him, but I had a problem with him in the movie. They didn't really give me anything that made him special, I don't think, in the beginning. And it just could have been kind of almost anybody. Not every it couldn't be anybody, because he had some points where he knew certain things about Halliday. But again, I'm just gonna keep comparing it to the book, because like in the book they made him so much more than he was in the movie. He was this guy that studied the 80s. He studied every single video game that Halliday made, that Halliday played. He's beaten every game ever, almost. He knew all the pop culture. He's listened to every album at least 20 times. He's gone through every adventure that he could. He did so much work in the 5 years to try and find this egg, this key, Halliday's egg. And in the movie, I don't think I got that. I just got this sort of guy that was kind of clever, and he knew just enough to kind of get through it. And as even though he was the first person to do all these things, it didn't really bring me over the top. He didn't seem like he knew his pop culture as much as I wanted him to.
Yeah, a lot of this was like he happened to watch the right video of Halliday at the right time for some reason.
And it all was just like, oh, okay, that kind of could have been anybody. That's what I was saying.
Right.
But he did in the book, this character of Wade did so much, and he painstakingly watched every episode of Family Ties at least 20 times. Yep. Like that doesn't just happen.
But they tell you this stuff. They tell you, like, what do you want him to do, Jules? Do you want to sit there and watch the kid watch Family Ties?
I want to see a montage. I want to see a montage of him.
That's boring. No one wants a montage. No one wants that. So he tells you right off the bat how obsessed he is with everything 80s.
Okay, I'm obsessed with Harry Potter. That's it.
Right, I know, but then but again, this is part of as the story goes on, Jules. Not everything about the character is revealed on page 1. So he gives you a broad picture. I'm obsessed with the 80s. I'm obsessed with everything Halliday was obsessed with. He specifically says those things. And then when he goes to visit the Hall of Halliday, or whatever the heck that thing is, they show you how many times he's been there, with the butler being annoyed with his presence.
Yes.
And then when he watches the video, he goes, how many times have you seen this? And he tells Artemis, and he tells H, I've seen that 1,000 times. That's the way that they tell you how much he's done. And how do you think he comes up? Like, do you think he just watched the right movie at the right time? Every question that comes up about pop culture, about movies, TV shows, music, games, whatever, he knows. The implication is he knows those things because of the work he put in to gain that knowledge. It wasn't like it just appeared out of thin air. They tell you and then show you how many times and how much time he spent without actually showing you the time he spent, because that would be boring.
Sure.
Nobody wants a montage in a movie. Montages suck.
2 seconds. 2 seconds of him.
They did. They gave you 2 seconds. They told you what he did.
No, but I want him to be better than Artemis and everybody else. Artemis and H. I want him to be the clear. It seemed like they were all working together at one point.
They were.
Exactly. It seemed like
just because you're part of a team doesn't mean you're not the best one. And she even said, you need to go. She pulled the whole Hermione Granger. Like, Harry, you need to go because you're the one that needs to go on. And she sacrificed herself for that. And that's another example of why she's an incredible gamer, clearly one of the best out there, because he's watched all of her Twitch streams and everything, and she still elects for him to go on because he has something that she doesn't. Every turn he has the answer, and they establish that he studied to get there. So I mean, I don't know what more you wanted them to show you without it being some, again, boring exposition about this kid standing in front of a computer screen playing a game or watching a TV show or watching.
Again, it didn't adapt to the movie, and I just didn't feel it from him. I don't know.
Jules, you're the worst. I love you, buddy.
I
didn't read the book, and I got all of what you're saying from the movie.
It's tough to do.
I didn't.
Like you just said, in the book, he did this.
I know.
Yeah, I got that, and I never read the book. Like I knew that. I didn't know he watched Family Ties specifically 80,000 times.
But it doesn't
Previous
matter. That's
detail, and that's
and
what
that-
books are
No,
for.
a lot of the
Yeah.
detail in this changed. A lot of the trials changed. Like there was nothing about The Shining in the book.
Yeah.
wasn't-
No, yeah,
None of
definitely.
that happened. So they changed The Shining. They added zombies. They turned it into Walt Disney's Haunted Mansion for some reason. But it was fun. Like it really was. I enjoyed it, and I'm not sure. Like it wasn't the best. It had a lot of action. It had a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna have to see this movie 100 times to catch all of the little details.
Sure.
Everybody that was in
Yeah.
I kept sitting there going, I think that's a Battletoad. I'm sure that's a Ninja Turtle. Was that Batgirl? How many times did the Joker show up? Harley Quinn was in it. Like everything about it was just
It was a
reference.
sensory overload.
really
I think
was.
that's why I never got lost in the details, because the big picture told me everything I needed to know. And when I watch it again and again and again, I'll pick up on those small things, but the story constantly was plowing forward with enough information to really have me tremendously interested. I didn't go to the bathroom for 45 minutes.
I don't know. I was generally interested, and I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like
something missing.
when he met Dana Carvey at the end and was talking about the Easter egg, I felt like that whole scene where they're in the apartment that Halliday used to live in should have been different. Like I felt like that was so awkward. He should have touched the egg. He should have, I don't know, like
I mean, Halliday was super awkward.
Halliday was awkward. He definitely felt like Garth from Wayne's World. Like I thought it was Dana Carvey doing a bit.
Definitely.
That was it. It was funny you said Dana Carvey. I'm like, that wasn't Dana Carvey,
No.
was it? Because I thought the same thing.
No, but it was.
I'm like, why is he doing a Garth impression from like?
I don't know, man. If you're gonna hurl into this, just everything about him. And I get it. It was awkward, but I don't know. He also reminded me of Brett Spiner, the guy who played Data.
Yeah.
Especially when he did the Star Trek funeral. You could just like his facial
that was
similar.
funny.
I could see this being like, him down the road. Interesting and awkward at the same time.
Well, if these were acting choices by the actor to impersonate some of the iconic characters of the 80s, then I'm even more impressed than I thought I was. If those were active choices by him, because I thought the same thing about Garth. I didn't think about Data, but you're absolutely right. But yeah, I mean, he was playing a caricature of your typical like 80s awkward nerd. Like I get computers, but I don't get the real world. And that's a trope that worked so much better back then, because I think it was more real. Because now, as a result of social media, and like he says in this world that he created, nerds have a place. People who have social awkwardness or anxiety or things of that nature have a place to interact outside of the real world that makes it easier for them. And I think you're watching, him in real life, like it actually was back in the 80s. The guys who were good in computers, they were alone with the computers. Yeah. And a couple of people that were with them because they weren't interconnected, with the internet and stuff like that. So I think you were seeing a genuine character that doesn't exist anymore. No, which was actually kind of cool.
And you can see the juxtaposition between his character Halliday versus Anurok, his avatar that he used, which is just all seeing, just an older, wise wizard in black robe.
I loved his robe, by the way.
Yeah.
The way his robe would like continue to render as he's standing there had me fascinated. And just the symbol, the Anurok symbol all over the threading of it. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful CGI in that scene.
For sure. And you do this Halliday was, in the text, he is somewhere on the autistic spectrum, and this is, just showing him as of the character of, like Tim, you were saying, the 80s, nerd, quote unquote, and it does juxtapose the Ogden, he's super good about speaking to people, and Halliday's just kind of the shut-in, and them two, I loved seeing them two interact in the memories and, all that stuff. The two
Ogden was his avatar in real life.
Yeah.
If you think about it. Like a lot of times back, I think back then, people who were that way, who were, again, like you said, maybe somewhere on the spectrum, but definitely got computers better than people, a lot of times they did have that one friend or a small group of people where they almost had an avatar in real life, where it was somebody who would speak for them and help them communicate with the world in ways that they couldn't.
Yeah.
Sure. I do want to talk about okay, before I talk about the story aspect of something that I wanted to get into, I want to talk about the actors and the acting, because that is something that was really cool and something that I really did like. So these actors, how did you like these kids? Well, I call them kids, but these acting kids as the main characters. Did they carry the story well? How did you like the villain? One thing I really did like, though, was the physical acting that was done with the CGI. All of that looked fantastic. These characters acted like they would in real life, but they were in the Oasis, and that was fantastic. I think it all looked natural, so that's something cool. What did you think about the actors, as they're acting on screen?
I thought they were all great. Like, I really did. I had no problems with the actors.
Sure.
I had no problems with the acting. I have a problem with the giant that's apparently trying to break my wall down.
It's the Iron Giant.
If I die,
oh no,
I'm
they
so
found
sorry.
you.
No, but I had no problems with the acting.
The
I had no
IOI.
problems with the actors. I had
Sure.
really, the problems with this were flaws in the story itself. They were
Sure.
flaws in how the story progressed, but that's fine. It was beautifully interesting. It was, visually stunning. I just wish that they had progressed a little further. My same complaints with the book are the same complaints I have for the movie, but for different reasons and in different ways. I feel like this
Sure.
needed another pass. It needed another, why is this happening? Why don't we do this? It needed someone to explore it a little bit further.
Sure.
Like what?
Like the hand grenade and so how does the Zemeckis cube work? It can turn back time. Why?
For 60
How?
seconds.
For 60, it turns back time 60 seconds.
That's wild. First
Because
off, that's
it's
wild.
because it's Zemeckis. Back to the Future.
I know, and I get that, but like, how can you just walk into a store and buy this thing? Why isn't this everywhere? Even if it's super expensive, even if this is the most expensive thing you've ever seen in the world, as someone who has played MMOs and other video games, there are people who would grind the shit out of this just collecting coins until they could buy as many of these as they wanted, and then just mess with the game. Like, this is what would happen. So it confuses me that this exists in the first place, or that it's just laying around. If this is something that exists, great. Make it inaccessible. Do like they did in the book and make this the result of some obscure thing that no one's ever done. Like, he acquires the coin not because the valet at the museum gave it to him, but in the book he gets it because he plays this one version of, I think it was Donkey Kong, in the back of a pizza parlor, Pac-Man. But he gets this one weird version of this game that no one ever knows about, that's just laying around the world, to the point of someone who is a champion Pac-Man player. So it's little Easter eggs like that that serve the larger purpose in the book. Do something like that in the movie, and I'd be a much happier camper.
Sure. He beat the entire Pac-Man video game in one session, and he surpassed the highest score ever made in Pac-Man. So that's how he gained the coin in the book. But yeah, I mean, so the problems are in the story. I think I want to get into that a little bit later. But the acting, you didn't have a problem with the actors or anything. I definitely did think they were really cool. I mean, I definitely see them going on to do things. And Sorrento, he was definitely a little over the top in his evilness, but I think that was okay. Like, it was just a little too much, and I was like, ooh, I feel it now. Like, I feel like he's an evil guy, like, so I definitely did like the acting and the actors. What do you think, Tim?
I thought all the performances were great. I thought the kid who played Parsifal was very believable. Even in the end when he was crying, like, he was very emotionally driven, and I like that. But I also believed him as somebody who could do action stuff. So the whole scope was well within his grasp. Yeah, the girl who played Artemis was great. The girl who played H was fantastic. I loved how they made that transformation. And Sorrento, I thought, was a cool character. And I thought the guy played him really well. Like you said, you had to get the feeling that he was truly evil, because he had to be willing to do damage in real life to make it, have impact and weight.
Sure.
The interesting thing was he wasn't quite willing to go far enough.
Yeah, he definitely,
so that was a cool. Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was a cool aspect of that character where even he was willing to do things and was more comfortable in the alternate reality, which he said he didn't like, than he was in the real world. He would kill everybody in the game, but he wouldn't pull the gun to the kid and actually pull the trigger in real life. He hired other people to do it. Yeah. So he not quite as evil as he wanted to make himself out to be.
No, but I definitely think he was channeling a lot of like the vice principal from Breakfast Club. The look, the attitude, everything about him. Like, I think even just that was a reference. Everything in this movie was something you can point to and say, oh, this is what that means.
Even the time when he referenced the Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller, when he's having that holographic, that was a really amazing scene to me, because he was trying to act as human as possible, and he was that cool. He theoretically, he moved the chair backwards. He's just like, let's sit and rap, man. I know your stuff. I know what
I'm
what
hip
you're
to the kids thing.
He just threw a textbook in the trash bin, turned his chair around, and was like, let's go.
Yeah. It was definitely that vibe. Yeah, it was that vibe, and I really liked that scene because he was getting the intel from his minds in the other room.
Oh yeah,
I was
way
like,
to cheat, buddy.
Yeah, this guy was like that showed the other side to his evilness as well. He was willing to do these sort of things, and he was quick on, really quick on the fly, just talking to Parzival about all this stuff. And it was really cool. I really did like the IOI and the Sorrento character.
The other thing, just talking about throwbacks, and little details. Did you notice that little kind of musical effect in the score every time something happened that was like surprising? It was and definitely from Back to the Future or like a 1980 sound effect, and it happened so often, and I got a big smile on my face every time I saw it. It was very, very
huge
cool.
Shout out to Silvestri. I love his work all the time, and him being able to use these other concepts from everything. It was fantastic. That opening with The Shining, that's sort of a play on Tchaikovsky's tune, and it was just like, so epic. It was really good. That was an amazing part as well. It's the music and the quick little notes here and there of everything that we already knew.
Spielberg always gets the best out of, I mean, he's had the privilege to work with John Williams a lot, but he always gets the best out of the composers, I think. He really does a good job of, I would have to imagine, based on the consistent success, that he has a great job of articulating what he wants out of the music for the story.
Or just maybe I don't know the process of all this stuff, but maybe he does work with Silvestri on this part, on this movie specifically, like on certain aspects of it. It's like they sit down and actually talk about what he wants.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think that happens all the time, just based on what you hear. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, I have to think, I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but you'd have to think, with the consistency that Spielberg gets great scores, that he has to do a very good job of articulating to his composers, this is what I want, and this is the vibe that I want, and, can you go this direction? I think he has to be really good at that.
Perfect.
For sure. Going back to a story aspect of it, something that I had a problem with was the kind of love story, the sort of B plot, sometimes an A plot, I guess, of Artemis and Parzival, in game, out of game, and all that stuff. To me, it felt way too rushed in the beginning. But then after a while, and they met in the real world, it was definitely sort of believable. These characters are matched at wits, but in the movie, he went to "I love you" real quick.
Yeah, Ted Mosby her big time. He definitely went the Ted Mosby route. Went to "I love you" way too fast. That was one of my problems.
Should have done The Naked Man.
Oh.
He totally should have done the Naked Man.
But I mean, honestly, I think the least believable part of this entire movie is the fact that they were both the same age, both single, and lived within a block of each other.
True.
That was the most
Tremendous coincidence.
That was the most ridiculous thing out of this movie with Chucky involved and the Iron Giant.
Yes.
That was so awesome.
Yes, it
when
was.
When he throws Chucky out there.
Oh my God.
There you go.
You know, and
What's the greatest weapon you have? The tiny doll with a knife that just goes around killing everybody.
that does
Oh,
bring up
sure.
one other thing I did not like about this movie was that anytime they killed any of the IOI guys and it flashed back to the real world where their pods go red, if they shot someone in a line, it was always that those guys were in line in the studio.
Oh yeah.
It's true.
Like, you're telling me
But
that you move in
visually,
It's a cool
Fine.
visual, yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
but also I mean, if you want to do that for the larger explosions and you just go back and there's like 6 dudes lit up white and the rest are red, great. But I just, I wasn't in.
sure. But yeah, that whole sort of budding romance, it was just all kind of too quick and one-sided.
Yeah.
And definitely but by the end, of course, we see something really, really cool happen. And, I kind of feel it after a while. And it's like, these two sort of kids, I guess, they're fighting on the same side. They're the leaders of the same side. And I guess I could believe it. I don't know.
It was definitely more one-sided to begin with.
Sure.
No question about it. But it got there by the end. And it was an essential part of the story because it was part of his parallel journey to that of the creator. I mean, that was they intertwined in that way, and he had to, kiss her in the end and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I appreciated that, at least the fact that they acknowledged that it was one-sided. Like, she didn't make any secrets. Like, it wasn't like she's like, "Oh, I'm in love with you too." It's like, no. Back the hell away, dude. All right, chill out.
Yeah.
But then by the end, they both got there, and chance, coincidence, people finding love. That's a romanticized story, and that's a common thing in literature and movies. So I forgive that kind of stuff because that's what makes these things so special, isn't it? Finding the one person at the right place at the right time. When it comes to love, I think that's part of the grand story. If you're going to make a romance,
Okay.
just how it works.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go scour the block for my one true love because we're on the same block. I guess she's out there somewhere. But I think it was Polygon. I read like 2 reviews going into this, but they had one interesting thought point that I kind of want y'all's opinion on. The very last scene, he's in the chair. He's one Halliday's egg. Everything's supposed to be good. His last sort of monologue was him saying that he was going to shut off the Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays so that people can enjoy the real life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the best thing for him to do with his power, with his money, and everything that he has? So question here, or comments here, because people make their living in the Oasis. People make so much of their living, so much of their lives are devoted into the Oasis. This would essentially stop somebody from making money. Essentially would stop businesses from running. And for them to quote unquote work on their real world selves, the real world outside is still a shithole. And you're forcing me to go live in this shithole right now when I can't really do anything.
Because you're right. It's going to force people to make the real world better. And it's going to create or recreate new jobs because you're going to have more people interacting in the real world. You're going to have more need for people to man stalls and for other things like for crafts, for entertainment. So I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's also there's just ebb and flow.
Yeah. This is definitely, I mean, I was taking the devil's advocate on that, but this was what Polygon definitely brought up, and they're saying that it's a really interesting article because they brought up about, him being white and him thinking he knows what everybody needs. And his answer to the question that nobody was really asking for was kind of their response to it. But
And he
I
can't do
mean,
that because he's a white guy. Why do we have to bring race into literally everything? Like,
it was yeah.
this is just one of the problems with race relations in the world is we have to make non-racist things racist, and that takes away, it detracts from the conversation. Listen, let's forget that part about it, and let's say even the economics of it. This article's taking life too seriously. This is the point. This is a story. This is supposed to be something that's inspiring and something that's supposed to be fanciful at the same time.
And a cautionary tale.
It's exactly. It's a specific example where they use to inspire and encourage people to get out in the world and live. That's the message. It's a fable. It's a moral at the end of a little Aesop's fairy tale. That's what it is. It's hey guys, this is this thing, right, that everybody's become obsessed with. You have that in your life too. It's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Why don't you take a day off, go out, live in the world, interact? It's just a little bit of it fanciful advice.
Sure.
Yeah,
very cool.
That's pretty much it.
Any final thoughts on this movie? Anything we didn't really discuss?
Nothing major.
There was a lot of Halo chiefs out there, and I really liked it. I really liked all the Halo. And then there was the chain gun from Gears of War when she pulled that out. I really liked that one.
Yeah.
And there was a Gundam, which I didn't know about until you mentioned it last week. And
yeah, shout out to Gundam.
And when he said something about Gundam, I'm like, oh, what is it? What is it? I'm really curious. Jules talked about it last week. What is it?
Yeah,
and that was the same one that was the statue in Pacific Rim too.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the main Gundam. So I was like, hell yeah. That was a really cool battle. That was a awesome battle between him and Mecha Godzilla. Yeah, and I was super
unhappy.
I thought the ending battle actually, all in all, was pretty satisfying. I don't think it wasn't too much in there that I thought was like, oh, I can't believe this happened. They released just the right amount of little Easter egg, kind of weapons that were throwbacks and kind of cool. And I thought the whole thing was even how they got the force field down. I thought it was pretty well executed. I believed, that was a legit thing to do. I thought that was pretty cool.
Sure. And maybe one other problem that I just thought about right now was just that whenever what's the lady that was trying to kill everybody, that was tracking everybody, I forgot her name. It started with a D or something. She was the lesser bad guy.
The evil the real world evil person.
Yeah, there you go. She was the one that was trying to do all the killing and stuff. She was going down the streets, and the people during this battle were acting out the actual battle. And Kevin has hammers going on.
Someone's coming in
through him. Okay, but isn't that really unsafe to have a bunch of kids running along the sidewalk?
Yes.
What if something's happening very far to the left and you got to run into traffic to get it? I know in the book they explain that you can do your whole thing with the haptic gloves. You can control your whole character just by doing stuff with your hands. But in the movie, they actually just showed people actually doing the actions. A lot of the time was running and stuff. A lot of the time there was a treadmill underneath of them. They can go omnidirectional. But during that last battle, everybody's outside just battling, running around and all that stuff. What if you run into a wall? What's going on there? So that was a little problematic. I'm sure they changed the way you can control your character if there's like a wall there. But
what else was really unsafe? When a group of kids went into tunnels to find an old abandoned pirate ship to get gold coins. Or when a group of junior Olympic hockey players goes and plays hockey with a bunch of street kids in Los Angeles, in like downtown Los Angeles. There's a lot of unsafe
when
things.
those hobbits tried to go to Mordor.
Yeah, really unsafe.
Really?
Hogwarts was armed at all times.
Right?
What about that?
Right? We need to
No, it was just an interesting thing to see, like all these Master Chiefs running in and the kids are running side by side. I'm like, oh, they could run into traffic. Oh well. But that was something interesting that I thought. But the last battle, it did show the immense Parzival being the leader. By the end, he is the leader of the Oasis, the good guys against IOI, and it showed all the people behind him, and that was just a really cool display of everybody coming to his aid.
And what
It
a
was really
great
cool.
story for the CEO of that company now. Like, hey, I won this out of a box of Cracker Jacks is essentially what this boils down to.
It's like you said it before, Kevin. It's Willy Wonka
It is.
for video games.
This is Willy Wonka meets the Matrix.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's pretty much all of it. Let's go ahead and give it a rating as we always do. And I already have my rating here
All right.
because I did it yesterday.
What's your
And
breakdown?
Jules actually has it this week.
Yeah, right. I have it here. Nerdytainment, I went back and forth. I gave it a 6.5 and a 7 around there. So 6.5 for both, because even though they had those scenes, I was okay. It was an okay, above average movie for me.
Okay.
Acting and directing was a 7. The storyline I had a lot of problems with. It was a 4. I gave the story a 4 just because all the stuff we already talked about, and that was before this conversation. So maybe I need to watch it again. I don't know. But for me, after watching it, story was a 4. Visuals for me were a 9. So I went back and forth between 9 and 10, but I figured I can't give it a 10 right now. So 9. I really did enjoy it. It was visually beautiful. If anything, if you don't understand anything, if you watch it on mute, it is still a good movie.
Oh,
it
boy.
looks beautiful.
So what's that work
It
out
is
to be?
gorgeous. So the final is 6.6 for me.
Okay.
I don't know if it's my favorite movie of the year yet. I enjoyed Pacific Rim a lot more than this one.
All right.
And that's really weird to say, but yeah, I'm being honest. I want to be honest.
Tim, what about you?
Yeah, Tim's face. I did. I enjoyed Pacific Rim. I don't know.
To each their own.
Yeah, sure.
So Nerdytainment, 9.5 only because I'm unwilling to give a 10 at this time of year because we did it last year too soon. So I'm giving it a 9.5 in Nerdytainment. I enjoyed it immensely. There wasn't a moment of that movie that I wasn't enthralled. Acting and directing, I gave an 8.5.
Okay.
I thought it was very, very good. I mean, it's not an Oscar caliber movie, so I'm not going to give something that's not going to win an Oscar a 9.5 or a 10, but in this
Sure.
genre, it's as good as it gets. I don't think you can do any better in this fanciful kind of young adult superhero type movie. Story, I'll give an 8 because there were some minor flaws, but overall really moved forward quite nicely. Visuals for a 10. I'm going to give that a 10 because I don't think you can get any better than that. There might be things that match it, but I don't think you can get any better than that. In this
I'm
juncture in
saving
the
my
world.
10 for Avatar.
Oh, boy.
Avatar 2
Nope.
or Avatar
Yeah.
3. I'm saving my 10 for that.
Sure. And also, I think unlike acting and directing and things like that, visuals is a sliding scale. It moves as time goes on. So I think it's a 10 right now, but it might not be a 10 3 years from now. Whereas acting is, it is what it is. So if you add all that up, double the first one, divide it by 5, that's a 9.1. That is a very highly scored movie from
That is
Hunt.
clearly your front runner for anything we've reviewed already.
Absolutely loved it.
Wow.
I give Nerdytainment.
I will use the word in my mind, instant classic. Loved
Instant
it.
classic.
We'll watch it multiple times. Hoping my kid will watch it someday and enjoy it as much as I do.
Nerdytainment for me is a 9. Acting and directing is an 8. The story was a 7, and the visuals were an 8. So I gave it an 8.2.
Not far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what did y'all think? Let us know on social media. Let us know on all the things, because we definitely like hearing your input on everything we talk about. And who did you side with? Who was right? Who was wrong? Whatever. Let's talk about it all. Well, maybe not Kevin. All right. We'll talk about it all on social media, and you can reach us on most social media at Nerdy Things Pod. That's Nerdy Things POD, and you can send us an email. I really like reading William's emails because they're lengthy and they're very descriptive. So if you have a lot to say, maybe about Ready Player One, any of the news we talked about, definitely send us an email at nerdythingspod@gmail.com. You visit our website, nerdythingspod.com, for the latest nerdy news updated daily. And that's going to be nerdy news and stuff. And we're definitely going to post our new podcast that we talked about in the beginning. We're going to be posting it there. Go check it out on the website. It'll be there very soon, and we'll let you know when it actually comes out. Links to our merch for shirts and more. We're going to have some more, hopefully another spring collection coming out because there is new merch stuff. There's all the old merch you can get on anything. T-shirts, hoodies, pillows, laptop bags, tote bags, all that stuff. All of the logos and everything on there can be put onto anything. Links to our YouTube is on our website as well. You can watch these podcasts in video. We do appreciate everybody watching it, and go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will love you forever. We have links to our Patreon for extra content like bloopers and early access to our stuff. We release a new episode early for everybody on Patreon and some extra stuff there. It's only $1. Super easy. Go check that out. And you can leave us a text or voicemail at 978-78-NERDY. That's 978-786-3739, and we'll play them or read them on the show. I'd like to thank Adipsia for the use of his song, Friends Don't Let Friends Go to TGI Friday, so you can hear more of his music at adipsia.bandcamp.com. He just released a new album called Imbue.
The Stoic.
All right.
And I'd like to thank the Bell Curve for the music we use under the main topic. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.